Did you just like
What happened was I just took a really
pool?
Yeah, basically I took a really big gulp of my yerba mate and it was out of breath.
It was like you were drowning just now in front of my
It's kind of
eyes.
so scary because I feel like I've been out of breath a lot lately, which kind of means like, when's the last?
You can't keep breathing into the microphone like that.
I'll just stop.
Just completely cut the breathing out for the rest of the episode.
I'm going to cut it out. You don't think that I'm just giving calm?
No.
I'm never giving calm.
No. You're giving gazelle being hunted for sport in like a wildlife reserve.
Yeah.
Not a reserve, sorry, because maybe they'd feel calm there. Like truly in the savannah, like by poachers.
Well,
scared for its life every single day.
Yeah.
Probably like 8 months old, unable to fend for itself.
All right. Well, if I was to pick the positives from that,
there's a lot.
And I would say one is I'm a gazelle. And that's all I'm hearing because they're stunning. They're almost slim.
They're svelte, yeah.
They're svelte and they run very fast.
Yes.
I'm in the savannah. Gorgeous.
Beautiful. You love to travel.
Beautiful. And at least somebody wants to hunt this down. Because it's more than I could say right now.
Good Children. Hey guys, and welcome back to Good Children, the podcast where hosts Joe Hedges
and Andrew Muscarella reflect on their 23 years of friendship.
Growing up in the late 2000s,
early 2010s,
and all of the nostalgia,
trauma,
and symptoms of physical trauma that go along with that, actually, I guess.
I love that. That's a great way to put it.
Hey Andrew.
Hey Joe.
How are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. I mean, I woke up on Long Island. I feel like I have the energy that you might
be lacking. Yeah, I really regret not coming home last night because it is just, I don't know, like, and we've discussed this at great length. Yeah. Like, I used to commute from Long Island to the city every single day for work, and usually before the sun rose. You know, I was up pounding the heavy metals like Michelle Visage every morning to get to work.
You and every other like 45-year-old father in a suit.
There was something really crazy about that always. I was always like, I am like the young, fresh meat on the block, and in 40 years I could be just like all of you.
Did you feel like you were providing for your family?
In a way. Something about taking the L to East New York, standing on that damn platform waiting for the train to West Hempstead, transferring at Jamaica. Like, it's just all very physically and emotionally taxing and challenging. But I feel for like a young person like myself.
It's kind of like it's an obstacle course, I think one could say. I think that by the time you get here about 2 hours later and you have to turn on the mics and start speaking,
it's like my eyelid's gonna be heavier right now.
It kind of puts it into perspective though, that like people do commute to work, people do things like that, and we come right back here.
And that's why I said I was the people. I was doing that. I was commuting to work.
Never again. I think that like,
well, because we're unemployable.
Is that what it is?
I think that's why it's never again.
I
don't think it's, maybe it's onwards and upwards from here, but even if it's a downward spiral, we're simply unemployable.
I just don't believe that anymore because I really believe that we are two of the most prime candidates for any role. And maybe
I'm going to name 6 roles.
Please.
And I want you to let me know how we fit into those.
Please.
And I'm going to go straight to like zoologist.
Great. How would we do that? I think that we would curate a really incredible and comfortable environment for these pets, for these animals.
As the manager of this zoo, I'm slightly concerned because you already referred to our mammals here as pets, and we're not treating these animals as pets. These are living creatures. They're beasts, actually. We want to make sure we treat them as such.
Can you take a step back? What was that word you were saying? Pits? Pigs?
Pets. Like dogs and cats.
Pets. Oh my God. I thought you were saying pits. And I was like, I have fantastic ones if you would like to sniff. But no, I don't believe that they are pets. I do believe that they are their own beings. They're beautiful creatures. And I think that we want to make them feel safe and that they belong here. And that the people that come into this
experience with like biology what's your work experience,
Yeah,
knowing
the
about
biology.
the caring and feeding and the administering vaccinations
Yes.
and dealing with the glands and
Yes.
everything, like what's going on there for you.
Well, with biology, I know a lot of things about the reproductive system that I learned in ninth grade. And when it comes to vaccinations, I have all of my vaccinations up to date. I think we all experienced COVID-19 together, so I'm pretty well versed in immunizations and vaccinations. So, yeah.
So secondarily, how could we use this podcast to work at a bowling alley?
Oh, Joe. I mean, look at the two of us.
We do give.
We give. First of all, if they're looking for models for those shoes, these feet will be clonking
we're
around.
We're not looking for models for the fucking shoes.
Oh, what's up, Phil? How you doing? Oh, welcome. You brought your friends today to the bowling alley? That's amazing. You're on lane 7 and 8. Put your shoes on. What, you a size 9? We got French fries and new corn dogs. You got to try them at the counter. Done.
I think that I think that what you're doing is really, you are minimizing the work that a bowling alley employee has to do. It's a lot
stressful.
more than that. Yes.
It's stressful. I can only imagine. And it's also, there's stress of bowling alleys that are like, are they being put out of style? Like, we would have to be bringing people in. I know, we have to actually
reinvigorate. Well, that's...
But look at you. Look at you.
I could help reinvigorate.
You know how to curate an unbelievable social media presence.
Stop.
People would be flying into that bowling alley.
Wait a minute.
I can do food content.
We could save Farmingdale Lanes.
I think they've already been put out.
You're kidding. They're gone.
I swear to you, I think they're gone.
My heart is breaking into a million little pieces.
Well, that's because we could be employed there.
Next up for me, I would like to see how we could use what we have going on to work at like a composting site, like to be really involved with like Green America and like really work on like saving the planet.
Shit, this one's really hard because while I want to say we do an amazing job of already taking part in Green America, I think the grass is always greener.
And I've seen you on this podcast plenty of times with a little plastic single-use water bottle in your hands.
Many times. Every single time's a different one, and that's a problem.
I'm actually looking at one right now. But what happens? What happens to the reusables?
What happens to the reusables? And I think that you are an amazing asset to this community. Think about the reel that you created. Think about that. Think about you going to the compost.
Paper?
Exactly.
No, that wasn't compost. That was a waste treatment center in Greenpoint.
Well, I think that it's not the same, but it could be of the same vein.
It's people trying to help out New York. Yeah.
I agree.
So you're saying again, now we're just bringing social media to this?
No, I think that I want to get my hands dirty. Give me gloves.
Wouldn't
give me
you be
hats.
gaggy? Wouldn't you be Gaggy McGee?
I've worked past this gag reflex. I've gagged so much that I'm not going to gag anymore.
If you were, but like, okay, because like I did visit a composting site last year, also on top of the waste treatment center. I had an amazing June last year. I really got to see all of the sites. It was all Pride. It was a Pride month for me. But it's scary in there. It's scary in there. There is shit. There is worms. There is rats.
Yeah.
How would you handle that as a podcaster?
I'm sorry. How is that different from our apartment in Bushwick?
Great. There's only, believe it or not, three more situations before we start the podcast. I'm giving you a low-hanging fruit here. Okay. And we know that you're pretty familiar with low-hangers.
Yeah.
You beat me to it. Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory is hiring 2 design interns. Find a way to make it work.
When I heard Willy Wonka's Chocolate
You
Factory,
thought, no brainer.
I was like, yeah, Joe, obviously, why would you even say this?
Right.
So when it comes to design.
And you can ask questions.
I can ask you questions?
Yeah.
So when it comes to design, are you looking for designs for your packaging? Are you looking for designs for the overall brand itself? What are we designing?
At the end of the day, we're really looking for actually a real team player who's willing to kind of fit in wherever we need them. So it could be packaging, it could be the Oompa Loompas. We need new costumes for them. They're really battering those down for the years and years.
Yes.
I mean, Mr. Wonka himself would be looking for a new wardrobe. So
Okay.
consider this fashion design, consider this product design, consider this graphic design.
Okay.
Really all of the above. And this, you're going to be working from top to bottom here. So I want you to really consider like not only the artistic elements, but also the practical elements. Can you embroider? Can you do a double stitch? Can you do inseam work?
Okay. So I think what I'm gathering from all of this information that you just shared with me, and thank you, that was a lot, but I have processed it all. And what I heard first was team player. And when I think about me and Joe, we are team players at our core. If you look at our experience when it came to Good Children podcast, it's like we wouldn't be able to do it alone if we didn't have a team. Like teams are what drive the foundation of any workplace. So you don't have to worry about the teammates.
For sure.
We are here for you. When it comes to the fashion elements, I think that if you were to look at the both of us, right? We try to curate our own style, our own vibe, because I think that also brings people in. They see you, they identify with you. And I think that with Mr. Wonka himself, sometimes when I see his wardrobe, I think he's almost, how can you put this? It's not as if though he's of the same world as us.
Well, that's what Mr. Wonka likes.
I know he likes that, but I think with a rebrand, it could be really interesting to see Mr. Wonka and things that were still statement pieces.
What would you suggest Mr. Wonka wear?
Put him in a floor-length skirt. Because I think that if anything, Mr. Wonka, you need to get up with the times and Get woke.
Willy Wonka. The idea of Willy Wonka like walking around in like a Billy Porter dress, like a Christian Siriano tuxedo gown.
Yes. Like in a gorgeous chocolate brown.
Yes. Oh, wow.
Come on. So I think that like fashion, we got it done. And then design. Have you seen Joe with his fingers? Yeah. Amazing. And I'm more of the speaker out loud. I see a lot of things in my head and they could be oftentimes classified and, put into an institution, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
But I want the institution to be the chocolate factory right here.
That was really beautiful.
Thank you.
Your next job, this is an easy one.
Yeah.
This is a quick one, thank God.
Good.
Little League soccer coach.
Oh, Little League soccer coach. First off, it's about how can you set the foundation for these young children to be the future leaders of our world. And I think how we can start this is by having fun. We just want to have fun. We don't want to make sure if someone's really good at soccer, great. You can be on the field, but we want to make sure that each person has the same amount of playing time and that orange slices are at every single game.
That is most important.
That's the most important. Garlic knots.
So I have a question though for the two of you that I'm sure you could speak on the behalf of.
Absolutely.
We are a Christian town.
Well,
we have
yes.
Christian morals, and
Praise be.
we are not necessarily too keen on the homosexual agenda.
Same.
And it seems as if you and your partner and yourself are really shoving that shit down people's throats almost 24/7 with those faggy ass voices. And I'm just wondering,
that down the throats.
and this is exactly the kind of thing I'm worried about. You're going to be educating and teaching little children, and I don't necessarily want homosexuals and drag queens around my children.
Okay.
And I would consider you both of those things.
Okay. I think the conversation goes beyond this because honestly, if that was to be the case, I think that we're going to probably take a step back just for our own sake. But I do believe that if you allow us to have the opportunity to coach your children, they would learn how to destigmatize what you're saying.
We don't want that.
You don't want that?
No.
Then I'm so sorry, sir. I think that this is our time and we're actually going to find a different team. So I appreciate your time.
This was like the opposite of an episode of We're Here on HBO. You're like, you know what? I actually don't give a fuck. Which is, I was watching We're Here recently, and that show is like, they put those girls through they're putting them in the most like traumatic, hateful situations, and they all have to yes and. Like they're like, it's so crazy. They just have to like keep saying yes to the homophobes and be like, well, let's educate you guys. And if I were in these situations, I would be like, I'm getting on the next flight out of here.
Get me out.
You don't want me here? Goodbye.
It's tiring too to keep.
I know they're doing so much labor, educate. But I guess that's the point of the show. The point of the show is like we're going to keep shoving ourselves in front of your faces because
I have to watch it.
Here. It's literally like a better Queer Eye.
Okay. And you know,
No offense to the cast of Queer Eye.
who's sitting right across from
Yeah,
you?
all 5 of them.
Yeah.
Well, we have one more. Okay, I want to know how you would pitch you and I as regional managers of a Target in Lafayette,
Louisiana.
Yes. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing really well. Thank you for asking. And what was your name again?
My name is George.
George. So, George, first of all, thank you for having us both in. We are really excited to be here because when we think about managing a space, we've always thought about managing Target. From our experience so far with the Good Children podcast, I think what we've learned...
Yeah, I listened to a few episodes.
Okay. Well, thank you. What we've learned throughout the Good Children podcast is how to curate a community. And I think when it comes to Target itself, what separates Target from its competitors, I do believe, is when you walk in here, you feel like you are a part of the community. And you know where that starts? With its employees. When the employees are on the same page, when they feel like they want to be here, that is the most important part. That creates a pleasurable experience for every single
And what is your
customer.
experience with managing a major store such as this? Because a lot of people, I mean, I was the regional manager for quite some time before I leveled up here, and I have to say it is quite similar to running an army. It's quite similar to running an army over here because you're dealing with small nations.
Yes,
truly.
I understand. I never mentioned this, but I actually had some military experience myself. It's all about meeting them where they're at. It was like, actually, it was
You're really quick. You're quick. Who knew? That's crazy.
I really do think that if all these 6 jobs were presented to us, we would have gotten 5 out of the 6.
I think so. And soccer coach would have been the only one that we were met with
and we stepped away from it.
Yes, that's actually even more important because they were still willing to give you that job. You just had to denounce homosexuality.
Yeah, and I couldn't.
Oh my god, which is crazy because we did for a long time,
forever.
That was pretty incredible.
Thank you so much. I really think that like we were onto something there. So I don't want you to ever feel like we can't get another job from here, because think about how quick that was, and I know that you would be able to serve it the same way I served it. I don't want people to reflect.
We're kind of the challengers of podcasters.
You couldn't have put it better.
I haven't seen that movie, but I imagine.
Me either.
I imagine.
Yeah.
Whoa. So what are we talking about today? We're 20 minutes in.
So today we're talking a little bit more about touch within the gay community, touch within like our own personal lives. I was really reflecting on this for the past couple of weeks, and I think that we have gotten to a point where things are becoming different, which I couldn't be more happy about.
Yeah.
But it took a while to get there, and I really wanted to dive into why.
Yeah, it is quite interesting. I mean, we could just get right into it.
Let's get into
I feel like yeah, I mean, for context, I guess, for the two of us, in the 23 years of knowing one another, I think we probably have hugged 8 times.
8.
And I would say 6 of those times were in the past, like, 2 years.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
I would say yes. And I think that the past, like, 3 happened this past month. So we are, again, that's what I'm saying, things are becoming different. Like we're on a sped up track for touch.
It is kind of crazy.
Yeah. And okay, let's go back to childhood. Were you like hugged? How were you parented?
I was very hugged.
You were very hugged.
Very hugged.
You were very loved.
Yeah.
I mean, same. So like, but I think it gets to a point where I don't know if it's like tough love sometimes when it comes to touch. It's like a shake it off type deal instead of a embrace. I don't know what it is that made me like disassociate from wanting to touch other people.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I honestly, hey, let's bring it up.
Bring it up.
Being fat. Yeah. I think that was the main thing for me. Like, I felt like it was that feeling where I was like, I didn't want someone to hug me because I didn't want someone to like feel my chest. because like I was like so far removed and out of my own body.
Yeah,
I felt so alien to myself.
It's the arch too. It's like when people
that's why I still have a humpback, because I'm still used to literally standing like that and avoiding anyone seeing my chest. Like, so for like touching and hugging, I feel like it was just like associated, some like a friend hugging me was associated with them like feeling how fat I was. And I was like, I'd rather just not, and I would always like go in for a hug like so far, like sucking in and like so far away, like not actually making any physical contact, because I was like, this person can't feel me.
And it was really quick. It was always quick.
Yes.
And there was no, because the thing about a hug, when it's a good hug, you're like, you feel comfortable. You feel comfort in that person's like embrace.
Yeah.
But I don't think that we ever experienced the comfort in hugs with other people, because it was so quick and it was so like, get away from me.
Yeah.
But hi, nice to see you.
Yes.
But especially with you, I think though, if I can really process it, it's like, since we were two gay boys who, you know, were obviously gay but couldn't come to terms with it, and it took a while. Anytime you saw male on male affection or touch or anything, you were like, gay.
Right.
Gay.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it was very normalized to show any sort of physical affection towards like a male friend.
And we weren't dapping each other up.
No, we just weren't. We were just truly like, okay, you're also here. You're in my space. Hi. And that was it. Part of it probably is like growing up Catholic, and then also growing up gay, and then also growing up fat, like where you're just kind of like, these are just things that like I shouldn't be hugging someone. Like it's it's like against the rules to like hug someone. Like I feel like I wasn't necessarily like hugging my girlies either. Like no one was being hugged, no one was being touched. Like even so much as like touching like legs on like the couch. You know, I was like, that felt crazy. And like I guess it makes so much sense to me why you and I are like this, because again, if you and I were in the basement and our legs touched, what would that mean? Like, what did that actually mean?
Because I think that we saw touch, and even if we didn't process this as kids, but we saw touch as like the next layer of intimacy.
Right. And like that would just like, there's like, it's just the same thing as like growing up with like when your legs touch like a girl, it's kind of like, what is this going to lead to?
Sparks fly, you feel it.
So for us, it's like, oh my God, like our legs are touching. There's so many layers, because there's that part of it. And again, we're like children, like early teens. And then also though, it's like, if I don't move my leg, you might think I'm gay.
Yeah.
So I have to immediately move my leg. So like there was like this reflex to be like, we can't in any circumstance have any form of intimacy.
It's so interesting to me. I really like, because we've been friends for so long and it's been like so brotherly for so long, I do, not that I wonder like the what if, but like if we allowed each other, like if we allowed more touch in our lives, where would we be at this point?
I know.
You know what I mean? That's kind of crazy. And I think that listeners are also thinking the same thing.
Well, everyone's always thinking it.
Everyone's always thinking it. Like, but again, since we deprived each other from embraces or touch or anything, it's like we immediately detached any feelings of like romance or intimacy or anything from each other, because we were like, that literally cannot happen.
Yeah, it's crazy, because then you think about like, I think about like Sam, and think about Alyssa, and it's like these like close childhood friends I have, where my family was just like, you guys are gonna get married. And like if one of us was the opposite gender, it would have been like drilled, like we would have been groomed into being like, we have to get married.
Yes.
There was like two options. It was like marriage or literally never ever come in any remote contact with this person.
No.
Why did I have girlfriends in kindergarten? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I had girlfriends in kindergarten too. It just felt like that was what was normalized. That was what we were told. We weren't even necessarily told. We just felt like pressure, even at that young, to be like, okay, boy, girl.
I feel like I was for sure told in kindergarten. I feel like my mom and Sam's mom were like, you guys are dating.
Well, that's what happens when you have best friends.
Yeah.
It's like I do wonder. It is that best friend dynamic. It's like you grow up. It's, you know, Amanda, or like Carly and Amanda, let's say, and they're best friends, and then they have kids at the same exact time, and then they're like one boy, one girl oh my God, like right
They're
when they're
gonna get
babies, they're going to
married.
get married one day.
Mary's song by Taylor Swift.
Exactly. But I do think I mean, there are certain people, obviously, that it's kind of changing. It's like you don't see it as that way. It's like, oh, I know one of my friends has a kid. He's like a 3-year-old, but she was saying like, oh, he's gonna, you know, you're wondering who it is.
That's okay. You can keep going.
She was like, oh my God, the boys are gonna love him, or like the girls are gonna love him. It doesn't matter. Like it doesn't matter that way, which I think is interesting to see that's how the conversation is shifting. But
and also like it's shifting, I think, in certain spaces. I highly doubt that that's the case. Yeah, exactly. We were so trained into staying closeted, like so focused on that like I can't even think about how that's impacted me in the long run.
Yeah.
I even think about it sometimes when you say, like, when you're going on dates with someone and you can't tell if they're just, like, you convince yourself that's just a friend.
Yeah.
I'm like, was that not probably your internal monologue for your entire childhood?
No, yes. Like, and I'm recognizing that now. And it's like, that's why I struggle so much on dates, is because I won't touch you.
Right.
Right? Like, and that's why I think that even...
And why not?
Because it's interesting, actually. I think that when I touch somebody, it's almost unwanted.
Yeah, same.
Right? Like I touch you and I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry.
I'm harassing you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like I obviously wouldn't like verbalize that I was sorry for touching.
Yeah, and then it makes it so uncomfortable because in your head, you're like, what are they thinking?
Exactly.
Like,
and that's why I've always waited for somebody else to touch me first,
same.
to break the ice. And then I'm like, oh my God, amazing. But when was the last time like I went on a date with somebody that I willingly chose to go on the date with? They touched my knee and I'm like, oh my God,
I know,
get away from me.
I know, it's crazy.
That doesn't
it's
happen.
Mental illness.
But then
really
people leave the date
and they're like, oh, he wasn't into me.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just friends. Because that's what has been ingrained in my life. I do believe from our relationship, yes. It's like we are just friends and we are friends that don't touch.
Yes.
It's wild to me. It's wild to me.
It really is. Like, I feel like mine's always like that person. Yeah. Like we talked about this on Patreon like 2 weeks ago, but it was like I've never been more aware of my own neuroses than in LA at Hot Dog Sunday.
Yes.
And like because I was drunk and verbalizing those neuroses to everyone around me, mm-hmm. where I was like, no, I'm completely unattractive and no one here would be interested in me. And like saying that with full sincerity is like after all of the work that I've done mentally to get to a good place, like I'm like, but it's still there. Like that monologue, that dialogue that I've had forever is still like top of mind nearing my 30s.
Yeah, and isn't it like, especially with Hot Dog Sunday, I think that we both went into that experience saying we're going home with somebody, right? Like we're going home with somebody that's amazing. Me and Joe turned to each other within the first hour. And we look at each other and we're like, oh, so we're pathetic losers that are not going home with literally anybody. We're getting Taco Bell tonight, and that's it. Obviously, the night took a turn, but I think what I've learned too in the process, and especially as I'm starting to meet new people and make new friends and things like that, I immediately friend zone, right? Yeah. Like I think that someone's attractive, and I start talking to them, and then it's like, we'll continue to hang out and it's friends because I can't bridge the gap between whether it is or whether it's not. And I think that for me, I also struggle with conversation. Sometimes look at us, like, I mean, like we can talk to a wall, but when it comes down to like the nitty gritty of having a like meaningful conversation, it's sometimes avoidant or passive. And I think it's the same exact thing when it comes to intimacy or relationships. It's like, I'm with another attractive man to me. We've now been with each other for a little bit, but I can't bring myself to say, hey, I like you, do you like me? Because I also can't even bring myself to touch them. But if I was to show more acts of touch or, touching a shoulder, touching a hand, giving the hugs, holding it for a little bit longer, like those are indicators, at least to me, that it's a little bit beyond.
We are truly such damaged little birds.
I
It's
agree.
crazy.
But yes, we are damaged little birds, but I do believe that these little birds are learning to flap their freaking wings.
Yes, for sure.
And I do believe that the training wheels are on, and I'm starting to flap because I can see it.
So I mean, like I think about the first time I like really had sex, like gay sex, and like the first time like a man really put his hands on my body, and I've talked about that before, but like the physical repulsion I felt where I was like, don't touch me, like, and like the fear of them touching me, like how much that was like in my head probably for most of my early 20s. What was that experience for you? Because I know that it was with an older man.
Yeah.
Did you give a fuck at that point, or were you just like, I gotta pull this Band-Aid off and just
Joe, I mean, yeah, I gave a
fucks
fuck.
were given.
You know what? I had the constrictive tank on. I took that tank off, and that was still the moment.
Wait, you had the tank? You wore the constrictive tank to the hookup?
No, I took it off in the Starbucks bathroom.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
Obviously, like as one would do on the way. I took it off in the Starbucks bathroom, and it was still like a moment of like, I know that this was going to happen, but I didn't realize like the actual intimacy of the touch. Like, no one's touched my chest before. Right. No one's touched my stomach before.
Stomach, for sure.
Besides me.
Yeah.
And I don't even do that.
Right.
Unless I'm, unfortunately, holding it in front of a mirror being like, what the hell is this? I want to chop this the hell off. Where's a saw? So that, I think, was like the first point in my gay experience that I was like, something is different about me. I wasn't here. Like, I was physically there.
I know.
But you can't be mentally there because it's like you are touching me in places that I can't even imagine that you're touching me. And that's not even the most intimate part about me.
I know.
It's crazy.
I know. I was honestly more comfortable getting fingered for the first time than someone touching my stomach. You know,
a shirt on?
No. Oh. At least I was like on all fours.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like you couldn't see most of my body.
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah. I mean, the first time that I really came to terms with it, I feel like was truly the first time I did shrooms, which I know also was a similar experience you had separately for me, which I think is really kind of crazy. But that first time I did shrooms, I remember standing in that bathroom on Driggs and just clutching my stomach and being like, I don't touch this thing. Like, I don't touch my body. I don't acknowledge. I pretend this part of my body doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And so I've had so many years of like starvation of touching this part of me that like I feel crazy. Mm-hmm. And it's manifested in ways that I can't even believe have like how deeply impactful they've been to like sexual and romantic situations, because I'm just so afraid of someone paying attention to me.
But it's like when you hold yourself like that too, it's like, have you experienced any, yes, somebody else can do that to you, but like it doesn't get more intimate than that.
No, yeah.
It doesn't get more like self-lovey than that. It's like we all need to take a step back and like look at yourself and like genuinely hug yourself, because it gets to a point where, I mean, I still to this day I feel very confident. I think that we are both in different bodies than we once were, but sometimes those layers still stay there. But it's still like you can always look in the mirror and say, oh, but this, right, you know, but my love handles, like whatever. But it's like when you find that appreciation for yourself, like worship your own body.
It is also, it's not even worshiping it, it's just kind of giving it attention. Like I feel like the way I got through the parts of my life where I really hated myself was just kind of pretending I didn't exist, like, or just pretending that like my body was not part of me. Yeah. Like, again, full disassociation from my actual body and just focusing on like what I could control, which was like my like clothes and social media presence. Yeah. You know, like that was kind of like that was the main coping mechanism for me.
And your style has always been good.
Thank you.
And that makes sense though, is like you wanted people to look at you for what you were wearing, as opposed, it was deflection.
The most demented times of my life on social media that I have covered at great length on this podcast, like from the royal era through like mid college, like I put so much emphasis, even no, actually into post grad, like the emphasis that I put into getting the picture and posting the Instagram and face tuning it, like as we all know, like I'm like, that's because I was literally an incel. Like, you know, like I literally had like no, like my body and my sex life and any form of intimacy was completely removed from my life. And like, that's at an age where you kind of need that shit to develop as a person. I mean, not necessarily that you need to be having sex as a teenager or even in college, but like, just like the acknowledgement that you could potentially be a sexual being, like if you want to be, like, and I think that like I was just doing anything to have some form of like acknowledgement of that without actually getting close to the subject. Like even being on Grindr for years and never using it, it was just because I was like, I need people to see me as sexual because I don't see myself as that.
I know, and you said one time that you thought you were asexual.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because I was like, well, I can't imagine like anyone having sex with me.
Because it was the foundation of trust. I meant of touch. Yeah, I guess trust. But yeah, it really. But to like to the Grindr of it all, I went the completely opposite way.
I know, because I'm not jealous, but in my grass is always greener.
Because then it's like you lose sight of now you want to touch me, but then you don't want to stay with me.
Right.
It's like, okay, great. Like you got what you wanted from this, but like it was just like a fantasy of yours, or like at the beginning I was like, oh, this is just like one of your kinks. Like you just want to like be with a bigger guy or whatever. And then I'll never hear from you again. And okay, I'm getting all this touch. I'm getting this touch. And at the time I thought it was attention that I wanted, but all the attention that I wanted was someone to be like, it was that embrace. Mm-hmm. It was that holding. But you think when you're young and gay and you grow up fat and you feel like you're undesirable, you like go into that and you're like, oh my God, this is going to heal me. Meanwhile, you leave that situation and you're like, oh, so that's that. I'm that.
I do think on the other side of all of this, it really comes down to like, who gives a fuck? Like it's like we are gonna be tortured poets for the rest of our lives. No. You know what I mean? Yes. Like, is this it? Like we're gonna let like the belief that everyone's paying attention to you is obviously a very like early 20s like delusion that you have. But I think that being in gay spaces, it can kind of feel like that's the truth. Yeah. And it also can feel abnormal when actually no one's paying attention to you. You can kind of feel like shit. Like if you go to like a circuit party, you go to like a dark room and you're not getting any attention, like it's like, oh, time to die, like time to die, like, because like these 80-year-old men are here and not even they want to look at me, like what am I doing, like what's wrong with me? But I think everything like again, you find your community, you find your place, you find yourself through all of that. I think at some point I've also kind of realized it's like you kind of just have to say fuck it. Like you kind of just have to be like, you know what? Like this is my fucking body. Absolutely. And personally, I've always been attracted to people who look like me.
Joe, I mean, do you know what I mean?
Like exact way. Like in the most white gay sentence I ever could possibly say. Like I've always been attracted to people who have bodies like mine. Like before I even processed my own. Like. And so I used to like journal for pages about this, where I'd be like, why can I see like the beauty in other people and not myself? And it's like at some point, I think maybe it's just aging. Like it just kind of snaps out of you where it's like, it's still hard. I mean, we are still in the process of it, but it's just kind of like who cares? What are you gonna fucking do? You're gonna complain about this for the rest of your fucking life?
No, and I do believe that we're on an accelerated. Well, it's been a slow process. I do think it's been a slow process, but I feel like 40. Over the past we were like literally 50 years old. It's like don't even look at me. But even to the point of like us being in LA this most recent time and me being on the beach and you were like, did you just discover your body for the first time? Well, yeah. I kind of was like, well, yes, I did, because even if I work in fitness or whatever, it's like I still like I'll take pictures of my body, but it's more of a confidence thing. It's more of like, oh, I can acknowledge that my body is here. I'm taking a picture of this body. I'm documenting it, whether I put it out or not. Like it's self-validation that I'm like, yes. Yeah. That's it. But I also think aside from this, the touch aspect of it all, it's like bridging the gap between friend and romance when it comes to touch, especially in the gay community, is something that like I'm still working on.
Yeah.
Because I've been around groups lately that like all of the gays are like touching each other, and I'm like, what do you mean though? Joe and Garrett, we're not touching each other. We're not like kissing each other on the cheeks. We're not like cuddling with each other on the beach. It's like those are things that they've been able to bridge the gap between though. And I know it seems strange.
Yeah.
But is it only strange because of the way that we grew up not literally touching knees?
No, yeah, well, that's for sure a problem, as we know. But I don't know. I think I think that a kiss on the cheek is cute. I think that like a hug is cute. I don't necessarily need to cuddle with my friends.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, sorry, I'm
that
sorry.
Sucks. Like I was like
I'm
waiting
sorry. That
for
was the whole point of this episode. Was you just wanted to get to the point where we were just cuddling.
Like
I just don't really see the point of that. I just feel like I mean, it's like, I don't think it's crazy.
Yeah, no.
I think it depends on like the situation. Like if you and I were to be cuddling on the couch, I'd be like, this is weird. Like we might as well just get married at this point. Like what is the point of all of this? Like, because you know what I mean?
It's like a platonic, because we do have like the most intimate platonic friendship there could possibly be.
Yeah.
Because it's like wanting to spend every single day with somebody, or like hanging out with them, going to dinner, like having incessant conversations but never touching each other, is like a beautiful friendship.
Yeah.
Right? Not a lot of people experience platonic friendships like that, or emotional platonic friendships like that. But yeah, I just think it's interesting as I start to touch people. No, I'm like so scared about that. Touching. But like I am gonna be more cognizant of the touch that I give, and like just let it flow.
Once you start, you can't stop.
I know.
You know, it's like a bag of Lay's chips. It's like, it's like you can't just have one.
No.
Like, I feel like there have been instances where I've met someone who is touchy, and then I've just matched that touch. Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so crazy. This is a whole different experience.
Yeah.
But then, of course, in my head the whole time, I'm like, you are in love with me.
Joe, it's insane. I know. I feel the same exact way. I'm like, you are touching my shoulder. You just say you want to go home with
suck
me.
My dick.
Just literally stop. You kiss my cheek. Like, just say you want to kiss my lips. Like, it's so insane. Just say it.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's why my love language is, when I originally took it, my physical touch was a 0. Yeah. I was like, no, I don't want you to touch.
That was your hate language.
It was my hate language. It was like, if you literally touch me, I'm going to punch you out.
Yeah.
But not anymore. Not anymore. That would, I'm like inviting people to just like nonstop touch me.
Yeah, at all points.
But then I'm like, we're friends though. Let me kiss you on the cheek too.
It is, I don't know. It's interesting. I feel like, I think we really got to the root of something with the whole, like, again, like our burgeoning adolescence with each other and having to deny like any possible, because again, like there are so many worlds where like if we were less traumatized, like we probably would have experimented with each other, and
Absolutely.
it probably wouldn't have made a difference in our long-term lives in the slightest, except for the fact that we would have had a healthier relationship to experimenting with other people in our lives.
I completely agree.
But because it was so shut the fuck down, I feel like we literally were not capable of doing that for so long, because like our brains and our bodies were programmed to be like, no,
absolutely not. And yeah, no, it is. And I think that like we would be in certain friend groups, and that's why I think also like when I see these friend groups, I'm sure that most of them have hooked up before.
Yeah.
But then they've been able to move past that, and because it's
me and Garrett.
Exactly. It's like a normal processing thing. It's like you have hooked up with them. It was a form of intimacy, but you're like, I actually really love them as a person.
Yeah.
But like, I don't need to continue this. Like,
it's actually me and Garrett and me and Frank.
Yeah. Yeah.
Two of my, besides you, like two of my two other best gay friends.
My gay friends in association are just the gays that you have hooked up with.
Yes. Yeah. So actually, what you're describing is actually the gays you know. Like the core of gays you know, except for you.
Actually cannot even believe
You've just been looped out of the situation is what happened.
Actually, you guys, it's like I'm the only one here that actually isn't being judged.
For me. Yeah. No. Yeah. I feel like my friendships with those two didn't change due to like I'm still not touchy. I do like give Garrett a hug when I don't see him for more than a week or something, but like otherwise I'm not like queen.
I know.
Like,
I have been told I am a good hugger though. No, I'm very happy that we're having this conversation because I think that one, it was needed. Two, we're recognizing that it was our childhood that did lead us to not want to touch other. It's not that I don't want to touch other people. I do.
I don't feel like I'm allowed to.
I don't feel like I'm allowed to. But it's allowing your space to. You're not like it's not like groping them.
Yeah, you could touch me anytime you want.
And you can touch me anytime you want. Literally, it's like it's even like the knee. It's like the hand on the knee, like, and that's what, like, I'll pretend with you on the couch sometimes. Like, I'll be like, I'll put my hand on your knee, but then I even feel it like, stop. Like, that's weird that we're doing that. But like, again, knowing that it's not gonna lead to anything, it's not weird.
There's no major pressure on these little tiny things. It's like, okay,
yeah,
I'm an adult. I'm in control of my body.
I do wonder, and maybe this is like not a conversation to that point. But like, since we were raised, like, being a little more closeted, like, we thought, like, again, the association was like man and woman. Like, not to say that in this moment I'm identifying with a woman, but if I was in this situation and I was the woman in this situation and there was a man in this situation and they touched my knee, I would associate that with one thing is going to lead to another.
Yeah.
And I think that is what I'm unwiring in my brain, is like how we were thought to think. And like, if I was in that situation, or if it was just two people, knowing that, like, yes, I'm gay, I'm with another man, we like men, but that does not necessarily mean that we like each other like that.
Yeah. It also is just like this, it's like the puritanical view of it all. It's like, because there is a world where, like, again, like, it's a touching a fucking knee, and like the idea, it's like the monster that's gonna get you. It's
touch my toes.
Different story. You touched my toes a lot recently, actually.
I'm just trying to, like, let you know that I'm there for you. I'm there for you.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
I felt that in my toes. Yeah, thank you.
Good. What an episode. I wouldn't say it's funny, but I wouldn't say
I've laughed once.
I wouldn't say I'm laughing at this episode at all, but I think that that's what we have a podcast for sometimes. Mm-hmm. You know, we laugh, we giggle, and then we talk about some things.
We can really do whatever we want.
Okay, I do have something that I do want to say to you. Jesus. And mention, because it did
call out. You're gonna call me out.
No, it did hit me, and I don't know if this is a memory that I actually have of the two of us, or if I've made this up in my head.
I love when someone has a memory.
But like, I specifically remember in my head, we were in your playroom, and maybe we were like 5 years old, and we kissed.
You're kidding.
I swear to you.
I have no recollection.
Okay, it recently hit
me.
You're
kidding.
I swear to God. I literally swear to God. I remember, like, we were right in front of the board games, in front of your door. We were 5 years old. I remember this specific situation, and it was like a joke, whatever. But
That's
I do specifically remember that.
Wow, I have no recollection.
Almost
of that.
wonder if, like, if that did happen, which again, I wouldn't have, maybe I did make that up, but if that was to happen, obviously we're so young to be able to process that, but then it was like from there, like don't touch, don't do, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I really, really do remember that.
The whole lore changes actually with that.
It does.
That's like a new plot twist.
Crazy. If that did happen,
well, don't gaslight yourself into thinking it didn't happen.
No, I do definitely think it. I do remember it happening.
I gotta get to like a repressed memory healer. Like I need to unlock.
We're literally I was not going to relate us to Whitney.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
That's
which is horrible.
Which is really horrible.
Horrible, and not the same thing, but the same
of the same vein,
like healing journey.
Yes,
like unlocking repressed memories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Unlock
Just God willing, not the same memories that Whitney Rose unlocked, and certainly not making light of Whitney Rose's memories in the slightest, obviously.
At all.
But that's crazy.
Crazy. I almost wonder if you did go to an unlocker, an energy and an emotional unlocker, you would be unlocked.
I would love to be unlocked by anyone.
I would literally I'm so locked up. Like, just take the key.
Like I don't even remember like kissing like Sam or anyone like as a kid. I remember showing my neighbor we both showed each other like our penises and our butts like for like 25 seconds back. Like
25 seconds
no,
is
that
like
was
kind of a
long.
lot.
But it was like, I remember like it was like and then it was like and that was it. And then I remember like he went home and told his mom, and then my mom and his mom told my mom, and then my mom was like, what were you doing?
Oh, that's actually mortifying.
Yeah, I mean, I was so young though that I don't think it was that mortifying.
No, I get that.
Because it was like I was too young to be like, we didn't do anything wrong. But it
Yeah.
certainly felt like something. At that point, it was more so like I learned that I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
But I don't think that my mom mishandled that one.
No.
Because I can only imagine as a parent, you must be like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Not about like who it's with, but probably like
Why?
What led you to want to do that? Like,
Yeah.
what did you see? What did you learn? Who explained to you?
But yeah, it's like the kid. You're very you're like inquisitive as a kid. You're like, I have this, you have something different, or in that situation, like we have the same thing. Like, what's going on down there?
Right. Well, that it does. Now that you say it like that, it is kind of like that should have been the final sign for everyone in my family.
Well, yeah, I think
because it wasn't like I was learning anything new.
No.
Yeah, it's crazy how much like shame plays into it.
Yeah. That being said, we're on our healing journey. I enter spaces now and I'm like, I'm feeling different. I think that my confidence is coming to with the touch element of it all. It's like, no, I'm good. Like, I feel good. I've done a lot of like touching myself.
Mm-hmm.
Which almost like you're kind of like, what is enough?
Right.
When is enough?
When is enough with that?
It's
enough with that.
It's gotta have to be. I actually do need to start touching other people. My God.
Recently, I have like leaned into flirting. Like I've leaned into the concept of like just having a silly little flirtatious conversation with someone, and it is really energizing and fun.
Yeah.
And that's my plan for the rest of the summer.
Is to be flirty.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's just like allowing yourself to be comfortable. And some people, like, when you're comfortable in a conversation and you're like, and obviously it would be a layer of attraction that you need to have for somebody to like want to flirt, because you never want to. I don't like when people flirt and it's like to lead me on to something that's not going to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But maybe that's my problem.
Well, I don't know what you even mean.
Like, if you were to flirt with me, but you were like...
Well, don't worry, I'm not going to flirt with you.
Well, no, I know you're not going to flirt with me. But if you were to flirt with me, let's say, and I was just like a person you just met, and like we flirted, but then in my head, I'm like, oh, I'm flirting back. Like, this is... Maybe I need to stop with the idea it could lead to something. I think I'm always thinking something needs to lead to something.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying is like I've kind of now realized that like flirting doesn't necessarily mean anything. It's just a way of speaking to someone, and like that's what I enjoy. But I also think everything can always lead to something.
You're right.
You know what I mean?
An extra drink.
Yeah, that's the best case scenario.
That's the best. It really is. Someone who wants to go get Taco Bell with me.
Wait, I'm sorry. You came home the other night. And it wasn't Taco Bell, but I need to know what you brought home, because it was flowing into my room like I was at, like, I don't even know, like a true Mexican restaurant.
That sucks, because actually what I was thinking in my head is like, not to say that I was hiding food from you. I was like,
okay.
I was like, I got away with this one, you guys. So I was like, Joe's in his room right now. Like, I'm shoving on the couch.
It was the moment you entered the apartment. The door opened, and out of nowhere, this aroma started wafting into my room. I was sick about it.
Yeah, well, and if you came out, I would have gave you one.
Stop. Was it like birria?
Quesabirria tacos, and with the birria sauce. Yeah, I went to one of the taco trucks because I was actually on my Uber Eats ordering Taco Bell again, and then you know what's worse now, and I'm sure this was a feature for a while on Uber Eats, but it was like ordered on
tells you the last
time you ordered it, and like the
like
exact order was like, it was like 3 days ago, and it was like, I actually need to check myself before I wreck myself.
And you went to to Quesabiria instead.
And it came with 3 quesadilla tacos with the consomme. And oh my God, I can't even believe.
I know.
Listen,
I know.
Taco Bell's a different vein.
Yeah, of course.
I can't even believe. I was about to check out at Taco Bell for $25.
That's the other insane part.
$25 when I went to this taco truck and I got 3 tacos with a consomme and I got a Coke. Because I was like, if I'm going in, I'm going hard. And it was $12.
Yeah. No, it's like kind of crazy. It's honestly disrespectful and borderline problematic to get Taco Bell when you live close to like 7 different taco trucks.
Like authentic Mexican cuisine.
It's insane.
When I'm like, I want a beefy 5-layer.
Yeah, like it's like, God, just leave New York City.
Yeah.
Move to the suburbs.
Yeah. I'm gonna start bopping around those trucks.
Yeah, I have a feeling.
For the final.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Good children to the guidance office.
Hi, Joe and Andrew.
Hi.
I'm Sienna.
I'm Nina.
And I'm a huge fan of the pod. I'm a patron. And Mina knows who you guys are because of me. I was listening to your LA episode Patreon recap, and you guys, when you were talking about the new level of friendship unlocked, I was like, that's goals. And so I was telling Nina about it.
Yeah. Well, because we
And basically, so we're like BFFs, you know, the vibe, like in a way that like only you guys and like the girls have kind of
seen would understand.
Yeah.
It's not. It's not. It's just. It's yeah.
Yeah. And so our question for you is tips on emotional intimacy.
Because cannot say feelings like jack shit. Like actually like die. Like dead.
Yeah. So we're like, we would just be so unstoppable if we could like communicate, you know what I mean? And you guys, I feel like, have had a slow burn on the open communication, and so we're wondering your guys' thoughts on that.
Yes, please.
Amazing. Thank you. Love you.
I actually am obsessed with their energy in a way that also, that was so us going back and forth, them not really even saying anything.
Yes, just kind of key.
Because you know what it's like us about, and I'm like, yeah.
It's also crazy, like it's crazy how tapped in they are to our actual lives.
Yeah,
that feels like, I don't think we even revealed that much of our journey on Patreon, but it seems as if they're tapped, like they have a wire in our apartment.
I'm like, so I actually called Sienna last night and filled her in. That's a really interesting question that you're asking us.
And it's coming at a great time.
It's coming at a really, really great time.
I get it, because I do feel like, I mean, obviously I could speak from our own personal experience, but I feel like it's true of a lot of people. Like when you have a bestie that you like, that it's all fun and games with, and like you truly like get it with each other, like you don't have to have a lot of hard conversations because you just understand each other. I feel like when you do have to have a conversation, when you do have to have like emotional intimacy, it can be really frightening, because it's kind of like, well, this could be the end of it, because like we're not these kinds of people. We don't need to have these kinds of conversations, and it feels terrifying to like break the banter, to like break the characters that you play in each other's lives so well. And I feel like what are your tips?
Joe, what were you gonna say? You feel like,
I don't know. I feel like I feel like there's like, it just depends on how you communicate.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that, again, as you said, Sienna, we are learning as we go, but at the same exact time, like we've had difficult conversations in a way that like only builds that emotional intimacy even more. I think it's like getting down to the fact, when you're feeling something, when you're feeling an emotion, it is saying what you're feeling and not worrying. I think that with us sometimes it's like, even if I'm feeling the emotion, I'm worried that you're also feeling a separate emotion that would then be brought into how I'm feeling. Yeah. Right? It's like, I'm feeling this way because, well, I'm feeling this way because, and then it's like here. Yeah. Instead of like, we come together.
That was beautiful.
In that.
Yeah.
And I think that it's if you were to build that next layer of emotional intimacy, it's allowing the other to explain how they're feeling, processing it, internalizing it, and then saying how you're feeling in the other way, and them also giving you the same space to process it as well, instead of butting heads there.
Yeah, I recently described relationships as a boat.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you and I are like rowing a boat,
Mm-hmm.
and the boat, like you and I exist as two separate people with one common goal, and it's like to keep the boat afloat.
Yes.
Like, because like I know that you contribute to making that boat row, and I know I contribute to making that boat row.
Yeah.
And neither one of us wants the boat to sink because we love the boat. But like occasionally there will be like a hole in the boat.
Or stormy seas.
Yes. Yes. And like it's about like recognizing that like when you're having a serious conversation, I'm not yelling at my co-captain and being like, you're not rowing enough or you're not doing this. It's more like there's a hole in the boat.
Yeah.
And we both need to work together to patch up the hole in the boat so we don't sink, because we don't want the boat to sink. And we both understand that. Like that's why we're friends. That's why we're in a relationship. It's like we've been doing this thing for this long, keeping the boat going. Like it's useless, I think, to like ever come at a conversation
like the blame game.
Yeah, like I think that because then it's like we might as well jump off the boat.
Yeah,
like, and that's the easiest.
Want to sink?
Yeah, let's then let's abandon. Let's abandon ship. But it's like if you can recognize that in those emotionally intimate conversations, like you guys are on the same team, no matter what. So you can kind of like say something that maybe you wouldn't say to another friend because you wouldn't know how that friend would take it. Like. And also remind that person of like their value in your lives. Yes. I think that is, it's so embarrassing, but you kind of have to do it.
But I think it's not even embarrassing. I think it's like, especially with us, maybe with them too. It's like when you have a friend for so long and you've set the foundation of being passive or not like getting to that next level of, because I do think that again we are very emotionally intimate. We have conversations like this too on the podcast and aside too, but like it's more about how we're feeling or something that's boiling up or whatever. It's like when you've been friends for so long, you let it get away from you. But when you might start a new friendship, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm connecting with this person and they said something and I'm like, oh, but why did you say that? Or what are you running from? Or like it's not even like therapy, but you have that layer. So it's, yes, you might have been friends for 23 years. You might have been friends for 7 or whatever. But it is giving yourself the space to be like, okay, I have this foundation with the person. If I just started this friendship with them today, how would I want to feel in that friendship? Period.
Well.
All right. Well, with that being said, thank you guys for tuning into another amazing episode. Did we laugh? Maybe.
Sometimes it's like you can't have the end of July sprint of the best episodes of this podcast without the May dip of the emotionally heavy episodes.
Because again, at the end of the day, we love to see the reviews and we love to see people who come up to us at shows saying that this podcast is also healing a part of them. So if we can have these conversations to heal ourselves, we want to help heal you too if you need it. If you need a little Band-Aid, because that wound's going to heal. So, but don't forget to do your homework. Like, comment, subscribe, rate, review. Write us a little something sweet. And if you are looking to review us or rate us on Spotify, there's those 3 little dots in that top right corner when you open our page. You click that and then it says rate show. All you got to do is do 5 stars. Joe, can you elaborate on the situation you were just in with someone who just rated our show?
Oh.
No?
No.
Okay, well, if you're at any food store or anything, tell the cashier.
And don't forget, you can find us across all platforms at Good Children Pod. I'm on Instagram at Joe Hegyes and on TikTok at Be Quiet Joe.
I'm on Instagram at Andrew Muscarella, on TikTok at Andrew_Muskie.
And we'll see you on Patreon every single Friday for a brand new video and audio episode, $7 a month.
And it's a lot of fun. Okay, the girls are gabbing. Like a virgin.
Ooh, touch for the very first time. Like a virgin. When your heart beats next to mine.
Whoa. Well, yeah, I have to do a few things.
This was an episode where you weren't that disgusting.
It's amazing.
It's really a new era.
It is. I'm kind of like out of my disgusting era